everybody, it's Alex from Heavy New York, and on the phone we got the Human Furnace from Ringworm. We return. It's great to talk to you again, James.
How you doing?
Yeah, it's so great to have you here. Last time we spoke, you pretty much were wrapping up the record cycle for Snake Church, and now we got your new record, Death Is My Voice. You want to give a rundown on how the making of the record's been?
Um, Pretty smooth, actually. I mean, our recording process is pretty streamlined at this point. So this one kind of came together like much like the other ones. It just as soon as we were done with that last touring cycle, I think Matt already had a few songs or skeletons for him already written. So yeah, we took a little time off after that tour, but then we just got right back to work, and Matt started pumping out some more songs, and yeah.
Yeah.
And then we have Death Becomes My Voice.
Awesome. And it's funny because I really thought that Snake Church was just a phenomenal record. Were you looking at Snake Church? Did you consider Death Because My Voice to be a direct follow up to that, or do you think that this record stands out in your catalog?
Well, I think all of them actually do, really. I mean, we kind of approach each record as its own little entity, you know what I mean? I mean, we don't completely make the effort to try to change what we do as far as our style or anything like that. So, when it's all said and done, I think every record kind of has its own personality and stands out amongst all the other records. Mm-hmm. So, this one was no different. Like I said, we just we go in and we write the kind of music that we like to write and what we like listening to. So, yeah, I mean, it wasn't. It's not like a continuation or anything like that. It's just another record.
Yeah, I got you. Now, one thing I've noticed is with Ringworm's sound is I see a lot of different sounds in your music. I see elements of hardcore. I see elements of thrash. I see elements of death metal. I'm just curious, how would you, in a way, kind of define your sound?
Well, I've always, even since we first started, I've always just considered us more of a crossover band than anything else, because even from our demo to this recent record, we've just always kind of blended a bunch of different styles into what we do. Sometimes it's grindcore or thrash, like you were saying, or hardcore elements. So I've always felt that we were just like a crossover band, or just a metal band that just has a lot of different influences. But early on, we always kind of got, whether it's where we came up or the bands we were playing with or the certain scene, the way things were, we just kind of got, I guess, almost lumped into just the hardcore category or genre. And so that's been fine, but it's always seems very a one-dimensional, I guess, label for what we do, because I think we blend a lot of different things together. So
yeah, I feel like crossover, before it was representative of combining different genres, but bands that now are labeled as crossover, like you guys or Municipal Waste or Hatebreed, I almost feel like, how do you define crossover at this point?
Right. I mean, things are much more convoluted now. There's, especially with the way, I guess, social media is, and the easy access to all different types of music at all different times, and the having everything at your fingertips now makes songwriters or bands really a lot easier to hear different styles of music and stuff like that, and eventually blend it into their own style. So, I mean, when we were younger, it wasn't as easy to get a hold of a lot of stuff. You're still writing letters and tape trading and stuff like that. So, it's a lot easier these days to hear different types of styles of music.
Definitely. Now, one thing I was curious is you mentioned when I asked you how the making of the record was, that you kind of have a formula and you know what to go into when making music. But is there still ever experimentation with your sound at all?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, Matt handles all the music stuff, so when he writes, I have a little bit of I guess influence on it. He'll usually write something, and if if I hear it before, it gets to a certain stage, I'll maybe make some suggestions on what we could do, or throw a curveball in there sometimes, or something unusual. But yeah, we experiment a little bit, but we don't really want to drift too far from what we do best, and that's kind of meat and potatoes type stuff. We don't want to, we all have other bands as well, so it's like if there's anything that for any of us in the band that we really want to do that's really on the experimental edge, we have other outlets to do that with, so we can kind of keep Ringworm pretty pure to what it is and what it's kind of always been.
Yeah, it almost seems like you guys have such like a raw sound to you guys that like there's no real need. Like if the machine isn't broken, don't fix it, right?
Exactly. I mean, that's kind of the way I look at it. I mean, I've been told sometimes that we're one trick ponies, but I'm like, it's a pretty good trick.
Yeah.
So why not keep doing it? I mean, you wouldn't expect a band like, I don't want to put ourselves in any type of categories with other bands, but like, you wouldn't want to hear like, Motorhead or, Bolt Thrower or any of those type of bands, or even like AC/DC change their sound. You know what I mean? You grow accustomed to what they do, and they do it really well, and they stick to their guns. So it's, that's kind of what we do. We just kind of, deliver what people expect and what we expect of ourselves, and we're pretty happy with that. Because, like I said, if there's other stuff, we all have other interests musically outside of the band. So if there's anything wild we want to experiment with, we do that in our other endeavors.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like because you have so many elements in your music already, in the end, it's still going to be interesting one way or another.
Yeah, and like every record's different too. It says every record has its own attitude, its own personality to it. So, and it's not that we don't, quote unquote, experiment with different techniques or different sounds a little bit, or different ways going about stuff. But in the end, the key elements of our sound, which is the aggression and the venom to it, and just the rawness and the power of it, that is the most important. So that's kind of what we continue doing.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, on top of that, look at who you toured with. Like, you've toured with Harm's Way, you've toured with Blackfast, you've toured with Skinless, you toured with Guar. So, like, you've toured with many different types of bands, and I feel
Sure.
like your sound can appeal.
We went out with I Hate God and Goat Whore before, and so we're kind of a chameleon. We could bring a little bit to the table for any type of audience.
Yeah. I mean, maybe you should do a tour now with, like, a real hard, soft rock band like Hoobastank or something like that.
Sure. So give us the check. We'll do it.
Exactly.
Sure. Why not?
Yeah. And it's cool when a band, like, sticks to their guns. Because imagine if a band like Dying Fetus started writing, like, a ballad or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a fine line, and looking, doing this for so long, I never try to, like, I guess, cut anybody down for trying something new, because there's plenty of bands that have completely changed their style, have done something out of the ordinary, and that's their prerogative. If they feel like that's musically the direction they want to go, if it's for a good reason other than maybe just trying to just blatantly sell out to try to pander to the market. If they just feel musically they want to go in different directions with their sound, that's totally cool. But for us, it's always been pretty laid out what we're good at and what we continue to do.
Yeah. And in the end, like, you look at the critics, like, if you keep doing the same thing, you're a repetitive band. If you keep doing something different, you're inconsistent. So it's like...
Sure. Yeah, you can't really win, and that's why you kind of don't... you don't really take that into consideration. That's why you always kind of do what makes you happy, first and foremost. And then, two, you just... you don't worry about what critics or anyone's going to say, because that's true. You put out consistently good records, but then you're doing the same thing. But then if you change something, you're selling out, or you're doing this or the other. So you can't make everybody happy. So as long as you make yourself happy, that's the first part of it. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Now, now being a vocalist, I believe I asked you this last time we spoke, but I don't remember, and maybe it changed since last time. But do you sometimes need to hear music to come up with lyrics, or lyrics always like a last minute thing, or do you sometimes have a concept in mind?
Concepts, yes. Ideas about what I want to write about, yes, always, because I write about my life experience and how I view things. So there's never really any lack of motivation there or influence there. So, but sometimes I'll have some things written. Otherwise, it usually comes when I hear the song. Like if Matt writes a song, I listen to it and I start getting the vibe of the song, whether it's slow or fast or the tempo. I start just putting together like phonetics and just the cadence of kind of how I want to approach it, and then I just plug in words and to the song itself. I very rarely do I have something written that I could just plug right into a new song.
Yeah. Yeah, nothing could be more heartbreaking than writing the perfect set of lyrics and then there are just too many syllables over the arrangement.
Yeah, it's strange because I know some singers that can. I mean, I write quite a bit, but it's never usually in a structure that's made for a song. But I know plenty of like singers and stuff that are able to do that. They could just write and plug stuff in and here and there. But I kind of go where the song takes me. Sometimes the song dictates how the vocals are going to be in our case for most of it. So, but I could hear a song and be like, this is the type of vibe that I want to go for on it, and that's kind of where it starts for me.
Yeah. Since you write songs that are about stuff in your life and your views, are you trying to maybe pass a message on to a listener, or do you like to leave it open to interpretation?
Well, a little bit of both, but mostly it's open for interpretation because honestly, it's like I don't really care what people think or what they get out of it because it's strictly for me. It's my event, it's my release, it's kind of the stuff that I want to say to myself mostly. But for the most part, I mean, and it's great when people can get I more often than not, just like our last show, we played with Hatebreed in Cincinnati, and I got into a conversation with a young kid who drove like 12 hours to come see us, and he went on to tell me that some of our songs have like saved his life, and really kind of heartfelt stuff, and like that's always good to hear when you don't really set out with that in mind to try to save anybody's life or to do anything like that. But when you hear stuff like that, you're like, wow, that's pretty awesome, pretty heavy stuff. So there is a message there, but it's not like I'm preaching.
Yeah.
So but and I do like to keep it open for interpretation because lyrically sometimes I like to spell things out completely black and white so there's nothing to misunderstand about what I'm saying in the song. But other times I kind of like to, I guess mix it with a little bit of, I don't know, fantasy or, keep everything kind of, maybe tongue-in-cheek at times, but, leave it open for interpretation sometimes as well. So,
yeah.
But otherwise it's really nice when when a normal person can listen to lyrics and be like, that's terrible. You hear stuff like, wow, that's awful. That's, bad lyrics, you know what I mean? Or it's scary or it's whatever it is, but then someone else can hear it and like really read it and think about it and apply it to their own life and find a good positive message from it. So that's really nice.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you, when you hear a fan who says like your music saved my life in a way, does that change your perception on your own art? Than when you first
a little bit. I mean, you kind of, at some point you have to realize too that like, people are listening to what you say, and that's not really you try not to let that change what exactly you're saying because, people are adults or for the most part and responsible for their own actions and how they comprehend things, but you kind of get the realization that sometimes these people are listening to what you're saying, so you feel somewhat of, well, me anyways, like somewhat of a small responsibility to kind of, I guess, not I don't know, just to realize that when you're going into writing, that people are going to be reading it, and people do take it seriously. So, that's why you just got to be honest when you write stuff and not pretend that you're something that you're not.
Absolutely.
Or and because it's a powerful thing. So you just kind of have to realize that and just kind of be honest about what you do when you do it. That way, when it's all said and done, you have nothing to feel bad about.
Yeah, and even if like you're not maybe happy with the final product or whatever, at least you could go to bed at night saying, "I said what I had to say, and this was me anyway."
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's one thing that always was, it still is really a key for me. I don't really like singing about things that I don't know about. You hear a lot of bands talking about how hard their life was on the street and how, every 5 minutes someone's stabbing them in the back and life, how hard they are and all this stuff. And, you see a lot of these people like, yeah, right. Your life is not that hard, So it's like, I never try to like purvey anything that I'm not. So, I kind of keep that in mind when I'm writing too.
Definitely. So before we go, I'd like to thank you so much for your time. It's always great talking to you.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, is there just anything else? I'm going to upload this on YouTube pretty much right after I hang up. So is there anything that you would like to promote with the Death Becomes My Voice record cycle?
No, man. I mean, it's going to be out soon. I think it comes out May 3rd, something like that. So hope everybody picks it up, and we're going to be doing our best to stay on the road this summer to bring it out on the streets and get into clubs around the U.S. So we've got some tour plans. We're going to be, we're waiting for the right thing to do and get out there and do it. But we'll be out there this summer and, spreading the good word. So hopefully people get into it and like it, dig it. We're pretty stoked on it. So, here we go again.
Yeah, exactly. I hope you guys hit New York City again.
Yeah, that's definitely in our targets.
Yeah, I mean, we love you guys here.
Yeah, we always have great shows there, so that's definitely a place that we'll be back. So we're working on getting our tour dates together and stuff like that. So it's always tough when there's when you play and touring around obviously your record release, but then all of a sudden you look around and there's like a million tours going on.
Yeah.
So sometimes you've got to be strategic about when you go out. Obviously, you want to be out as soon as you can, but when there's like 1,000 tours going around, it gets to be like that's when the business end of things get involved. With booking agents and clubs and stuff like that. So you want to maximize your touring opportunities, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's realistic. I mean, just last Friday we had, I think, like 9 big national touring bands playing different venues all in the same night.
That's insane. Sometimes they're on the same day and you're like screwed. You're like, fuck, I want to go to both of these, Or like there's nothing for 2 weeks and then like there's 5 shows in 1 week.
Yeah. And
you're like sometimes you just simply can't go to all these and you're like, damn. So we kind of look at it that way too, because we understand that like, whereas we definitely have our fan base and we do pretty good. We don't want to, we want to be smart about things and try to maybe be strategic about when we go out so we could get the most people to come out and see us,
Definitely.
But, and we hope to see everybody out there when we do get out there.
Awesome. Well, Human Furnace, thanks again. And
sure.
Hope to see you on the road soon. Everybody, we are here with Human Furnace of Ringworm. Death Becomes My Voice, coming out this May via Relapse Records. This is Alex from Heaven, New York. We will see you next time.
Right on. See ya.
Thanks again, man.